Wu Jin walked back to the human table and sat down. He folded his hands carefully and looked at each alien delegate in turn. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear. "We offer partnership," he said simply. "Real partnership, not the fake kind where one side pretends to be equal while the other makes all the decisions." Sujin opened a new file on her tablet. "We've prepared a proposal. It's very different from what you plan to offer us." The main screen in the room lit up with text and diagrams, but unlike the threatening images from before, these showed plans for cooperation and growth. "First," Wu Jin said, "humans will continue to expand into space, but we'll do it slowly and carefully. We'll ask permission before settling in systems claimed by other species. We'll share what we learn." Threxka's crystal body flickered with nervous light. "And if we say no to your expansion?" "Then we'll find empty systems," G1 answered cheerfully. "The galaxy is very big. There's room for everyone if we're smart about it." "But," Jinho added, his voice carrying a hint of steel, "no one gets to threaten Earth, ever. That's not negotiable." The alien delegates looked at each other. They were learning that humans could be reasonable about many things, but not about threats to their home world. "Second," Sujin continued, reading from her tablet, "we propose a real cultural exchange program. Not the spy missions we've all been running, but actual learning opportunities." Images appeared on the screen showing schools, laboratories, and art galleries. Humans and aliens working together, learning from each other. "Human children will learn alien languages and sciences," Sujin explained. "Alien students can come to Earth to study human arts and technologies. Everyone shares, everyone learns." "What could aliens possibly learn from humans?" asked one of the smaller creatures. "Your technology is primitive compared to ours." Wu Jin smiled. "You'd be surprised. Humans are very good at taking complex problems and finding simple solutions. Sometimes a primitive approach works better than an advanced one." Ji-won nodded enthusiastically. "Plus, we're really good at fixing things when they break. Most of your technology is amazing, but it doesn't work well when something goes wrong. Human technology is designed to keep working even when it's damaged." "Third," Wu Jin said, "we propose joint exploration missions. Humans are good at surviving in dangerous places. Your species have technologies that can take us to those places safely. Together, we could explore parts of the galaxy that none of us could reach alone." Stone Singer Vorth leaned forward. His massive frame made the floor creak. "Why would humans want to explore dangerous places?" "Because that's what we do," Jinho said simply. "Humans have always been explorers. We climbed mountains because they were there. We sailed across oceans to see what was on the other side. We went to space because we could. And," Sujin added, "because dangerous places usually have the most interesting discoveries. New minerals, new energy sources, new forms of life. The safe places have already been found and studied." The fourth point appeared on the screen. It was shorter than the others, but somehow more important. "Fourth," Wu Jin said, "mutual defense. If any species threatens the others, we all work together to stop them." "Including threats from humans?" Sith Una asked. "Especially threats from humans," Wu Jin replied seriously. "We know how dangerous we can be. If humans ever become a threat to galactic peace, we want you to have the tools and allies needed to stop us." This surprised the aliens more than anything else that had happened. A species offering to help others defend against itself was completely unheard of. "Why would you do that?" Threxka asked. "Because," Sujin explained, "humans learned a long time ago that absolute power corrupts absolutely. We don't want to become the thing we fought against. And because," Ji-won added, "it's only fair. We're asking you to trust us. The best way to build trust is to prove we're willing to limit our own power." The fifth and final point was the most complex. It covered trade agreements, scientific cooperation, and dispute resolution. But the basic idea was simple. "Equal partners," Wu Jin summarized. "No one species in charge. Everyone has a voice. Decisions made together." The alien delegates talked among themselves again. The conversation lasted for several minutes. Finally, Threxka stood up. "This proposal is Unexpected, he said. You could have demanded our surrender. Instead, you offer friendship. Surrender would be temporary, Wu Jin replied. Friendship, if we do it right, lasts forever. But you have demonstrated that humans are dangerous, Stonesinger Vorth pointed out. How do we know you won't use that danger against us later? Wu Jin stood up and straightened his tie one last time. You don't, he said honestly. Just like we don't know if you'll try to destroy Earth the moment you think you can get away with it. He walked to the center of the room again. That's what trust means. It means accepting risk, because the possible reward is worth it. And what is the reward? Sithuna asked. Su Jin answered. A galaxy where no one has to be afraid, where everyone can explore and learn and grow together, where being different is seen as valuable, not dangerous. Jiwan joined them in the center of the room. Imagine what we could accomplish together. Human adaptability with Vaxari strength, Melodian psychic abilities with Korath endurance, all of our technologies and knowledge shared freely. Jinho walked over from the door. Or imagine what happens if we remain enemies. Humans adapt to being at war. We get better at it over time. Is that really what you want? The room fell silent. Again. This time the silence lasted for a long time. Finally, Stonesinger Vorth spoke. We will need time to consider this proposal. Of course, Wu Jin agreed. Take all the time you need. But while you're deciding, there's one more thing you should know. What? Threxka asked. Wu Jin smiled. It was the same warm smile he had shown when talking about wanting to be a teacher. Everything we did today, taking control of the station, demonstrating our capabilities, showing you our strength, all of that was just to get your attention. The aliens looked confused. The real message, Su Jin explained, is this. Humans could have done all of this years ago. We could have started a war, or demanded submission, or tried to conquer the galaxy. But we didn't, Jiwan added. We chose to try diplomacy first. We chose to hope for friendship. Even after you made it clear you saw us as a threat. We only became dangerous, Jinho concluded. When you made it clear that weakness meant death. Wu Jin nodded. So here's what you really need to understand about humans. We're not naturally violent. We're not naturally conquerors. We're naturally explorers, and builders and dreamers. He paused and looked each alien in the eye. But we're also naturally survivors, and we're very, very good at it. The station's AI, still under human control, announced that normal operations were resuming. The lockdown was lifted. Communications were restored. The aliens were free to leave, but none of them moved. One last question, Threxka said. Why should we believe that humans really want peace? Wu Jin smiled and straightened his tie for the final time. Because, he said, we're the weakest species in this room, and weakness only survives through cooperation. He sat back down at the human table. The meeting is adjourned. Take as long as you need to decide. We'll be here when you're ready to talk. As the alien delegates slowly filed out of the room, they were all thinking the same thing. They had come here to contain a threat. Instead, they had discovered that the most dangerous species in the galaxy was also the one most committed to peace. The question now was whether they were wise enough to accept the partnership being offered, or foolish enough to remain enemies with the most adaptable survivors the universe had ever produced. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same again. The silence in the room was broken by a sound no one expected. Wu Jin was laughing. Not the cruel laugh of a victor, but the tired laugh of someone who had been carrying a heavy burden for too long. You know what's funny? He said, wiping his eyes. We didn't want any of this. Humans never wanted to be the scary species in the galaxy. The alien stared at him in confusion. After everything that had just happened, how could he laugh? 5 years ago, when your ships first appeared over Earth, do you know what most humans felt? Wu Jin asked. Wonder, joy, excitement. We thought we were finally going to meet friends among the stars. Su Jin nodded sadly. We sent our best people to meet you. Scientists, artists, teachers, diplomats. people who wanted to learn and share and build something beautiful together. And what did we find? Jinho added from his position by the door. Species that saw us as insects to be stepped on. Wu Jin stood up again, but this time he moved differently. Less like a predator, more like someone very tired. Do you know how many humans wanted to come here today? He asked. How many scientists begged to be part of First Contact? How many children dreamed of seeing alien worlds? He gestured to his team. Instead, you got us, soldiers and spies and saboteurs, because that's what you forced us to become. Stonesinger Vorth's massive form shifted. You speak as if we wronged you, but you admitted you infiltrated our systems. You turned our own technology against us. Yes, Wu Jin agreed simply. We did. Because you taught us that the galaxy was not a place for dreamers and explorers. You taught us it was a place where only the strong survive. Jiwan had walked over to one of the wall displays. She touched a few controls, and the screen showed images from Earth. Beautiful cities, green, forests, blue oceans, happy families walking in parks. This is what we wanted to share, she said softly. Art and music and stories, new ways of thinking, new ways of living together. The images changed. Now they showed military bases, weapons factories, training, camps. This is what you made us build instead, she continued, because you convinced us that the universe was full of enemies. Sith Una's liquid form had stopped shaking. Now it looked almost solid, like she was trying to make herself smaller. We did not know humans thought this way. Of course you didn't, Sujin said. You never asked. You never tried to understand us. You just saw small, weak creatures and decided we didn't matter. Wu Jin walked to the center of the room again. But now his movements were different. He wasn't stalking like a hunter anymore. He was just walking like a man who had something important to say. Let me tell you about human strength, he said. Real human strength, not the kind that destroys things. He pointed to Jiwan. Jiwan could have crashed your power grids years ago. She had the ability, but she spent her time learning your engineering, trying to find ways to improve it. She wanted to help. He pointed to Sujin. Sujin could have exposed your diplomatic secrets to the whole galaxy. Instead, she used her knowledge to write reports about how different species could work together better. He pointed to Jinho. Jinho could have identified weak points in your defenses. Instead, he spent his time studying your security needs, trying to understand how to keep everyone safe. And you? Threxka asked quietly. What did you want to do? Wu Jin smiled, and for the first time it was genuinely warm. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to learn your languages and help human children understand that there were wonderful things waiting for them among the stars. The admission hung in the air. The most feared human in the room had wanted to be a teacher. But instead, Wu Jin continued, I learned psychological warfare. I studied how to break minds and crush spirits. I became very good at making people afraid. Why? Asked one of the smaller aliens. Because fear was the only language you seemed to understand, Jinho answered. Every time we tried friendship, you showed us weapons. Every time we offered cooperation, you demanded submission. Sujin had returned to her tablet, but now she was showing different images. Human families working alongside alien visitors, children from different species playing together, scientists sharing discoveries. This is what we still want, she said. This is what we've always wanted, but we learned that in this galaxy you have to be strong before you can be kind. The room was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of beings who were thinking hard about things they had never considered before. You manipulated us, Threxka said, but he didn't sound angry anymore. He sounded confused. Yes, Wu Jin admitted. We did exactly what you taught us to do. We became what you expected us to become. The question is, what do we become now? Stonesinger Vorth's deep voice rumbled through the floor. What are you proposing? Wu Jin straightened his tie for what seemed like the 100th time. It was clearly a nervous habit, something he did when he was thinking. We propose that we start over, he said finally. all of us. We pretend that today was the real first contact between humans and the galactic community. And forget everything. That happened before? Sithuna asked. Not forget, Sujin corrected. Learn from it. Use it to build something better. Jiwan turned away from the display screen. Here's what we know now that we didn't know before. You can be dangerous when you're afraid. We can be dangerous when we're threatened. Both sides have abilities the other didn't expect. So we start from a position of mutual respect, Jinho added. Not because we like each other, but because we've proven we can hurt each other. Wujin nodded. In human history, some of our best alliances started exactly this way. Former enemies who learned to respect each other's strength. And if we refuse? Threxka asked. The humans looked at each other. For a moment, the temperature in the room seemed to drop again. Then you'll learn why humans are called the most adaptable species in the galaxy, Wujin said quietly. We adapt to war just as well as we adapt to peace, maybe better. But, Sujin added quickly, we really hope you don't refuse, because honestly, we're tired of being scary. We'd much rather be friends. The alien delegates began talking among themselves in their various languages. The universal translators filled the air with whispered conversations and urgent debates. Finally, Stone Singer Vorth spoke for all of them. What exactly are you offering, humans? Wujin walked slowly around the circle of tables. His footsteps echoed in the silent room. Every alien eye followed him, but none of them moved. They were learning what it meant to be afraid. You made several mistakes, he said in his calm, quiet voice. The first mistake was thinking that weakness and strength are the same thing. He stopped in front of Threxka's table. The massive Vaksari warrior tried to stand, but gravity suddenly increased around his chair. He crashed back down, his crystal body making a sound like breaking glass. You see size and think strength, Wujin continued. You see our small bodies and think weakness. But you never ask the right question. What question? Stone Singer Vorth rumbled. Even his deep voice sounded nervous now. How did such a weak species survive on a death world for millions of years? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Sujin had moved to a control panel near the wall. Her fingers danced over buttons and screens. To the aliens, it looked like random touching. But every action had a purpose. She was taking control of more station systems. Your second mistake, Wujin said, was believing your own superiority. He gestured toward the Melodians. You, Sithuna, think mind control makes you powerful, but you've never met a species that fights back inside their own heads. Sithuna's liquid form rippled with fear. Your mental defenses are unnatural. What did you do to yourselves? Nothing, Wujin replied. We didn't change ourselves. Our world changed us. For millions of years, humans fought predators, diseases, other humans, and nature itself. Our brains learned to build walls, to fight back, to never give up. He moved to the next table. And you, he said to a creature covered in thick scales and spines. You think your armor makes you safe, but every defense can be broken if you know how. Jiwan stood up from her seat. She had been humming that strange tune again, but now she stopped. Would you like a demonstration? She asked cheerfully. The scaled creature tried to activate its personal shield. Nothing happened. Its armor began to make small crackling sounds. Electromagnetic pulse, Jiwan explained. Very simple technology. We've been using it for hundreds of years. Your armor depends on electronic systems. Take those away and you're just wearing heavy metal. Fear was spreading through the room like a disease. Aliens who had dominated the galaxy for centuries were discovering what it felt like to be helpless. Your third mistake, Wujin said, was thinking that technology makes you powerful. He stopped, walking, and faced the center of the room. All of your amazing abilities, all of your advanced machines, all of your superior evolution, they made you soft. Soft? Threxka managed to say. When did any of your species last fight for survival? Wujin asked. When did you last face a threat that could destroy everything you care about? When did you last have to win or die? Silence answered him. Humans. Fight for survival every day, he continued. Not because we want to, but because our world taught us that the weak die and the strong live. We learned to be strong in ways you never needed to learn. Park Jin-ho had been moving quietly around the room's edges. Now he stood near the main door. But he wasn't guarding it to keep people out. He was making sure no one could get out. You want to know what makes humans dangerous? Wu Jin asked. It's not our technology. It's not our bodies. It's not our numbers. He smiled, and several aliens actually moved back in their seats. It's our minds. We think differently than you do. You think about how to use your advantages. We think about how to overcome our disadvantages. Su-jin looked up from her control panel. All station defenses are now under our control, she reported. Weapons, shields, life support, gravity, communication, everything. How is this possible? Demanded one of the smaller aliens. Our security systems are the most advanced in the galaxy. Advanced, yes, Ji-won agreed, but also complicated. The more complex a system is, the more ways there are to break it. Humans are very good at finding those ways. Wu-jin nodded. You see, while you were building bigger and better technology, we were learning how to fight with sticks and stones. We learned that the best weapon is often the simplest one. What do you want from us? Sith Una asked. Her liquid form was shaking now. Want? Wu-jin looked genuinely surprised. We don't want anything from you. We want something for you. The aliens looked confused. We want to save your lives, he explained. Save us from what? Stonesinger Vorth asked. From yourselves, Su-jin said. She had finished with the control panel and was now walking back toward the human table. You were about to make the biggest mistake in galactic history. Explain, Threxka demanded. Wu-jin sat down again. He looked relaxed, like a teacher about to give a lesson. You planned to threaten Earth, he said. You thought you could force humans to stay in our solar system by threatening to destroy our world. Several aliens shifted uncomfortably. This was exactly what they had planned. But you didn't understand what that threat would mean to humans, Wu-jin continued. You don't know what we do when someone threatens our families. What do you do? Asked the scaled creature. Jin-ho answered from his position by the door. His voice was cold and hard. We eliminate the threat completely. You could not defeat the combined forces of 12 species, Threxka protested. You're right, Wu-jin agreed. In a fair fight, humans would lose badly, he leaned forward. But humans don't fight fair. We fight to win. Su-jin opened her tablet again. While you were planning this meeting, we were preparing for war. Not the kind of war you understand, with fleets and armies. The kind of war humans are good at. Images appeared on the room's screens. Star maps, shipping routes, communication networks, power grids. Every major system in your civilizations has been infiltrated, Su-jin explained. Not by armies or spies, but by engineers and technicians. Human cultural exchange students who learned how everything works. The images changed. Now they showed vulnerabilities, weak points, critical failures waiting to happen. One signal from this room, Ji-won said happily, and every major planet in the galaxy loses power, communication, and transportation, all at the same time. Impossible, whispered one of the aliens. Humans have a saying, Wu-jin said. If you want peace, prepare for war. We prepared very well. The room was completely silent now. The most powerful species in the galaxy were realizing that they had been outmaneuvered by creatures they thought were inferior. So what happens now? Threxka asked quietly. Wu-jin straightened his tie one more time. Now we negotiate. For real this time. The lights came back on 3 seconds later. Emergency power bathed the room in red light, making everything look like a scene from a horror movie. The aliens looked around in confusion. Their advanced technology had never failed like this before. Wu-jin was still standing in the same spot, still smiling. The brief darkness had not bothered him at all. In fact, he looked more relaxed now than before. Technical difficulties, announced the AI, but its voice sounded different now, less confident. Normal lighting will return shortly. Threxka's crystal body flashed with anger. What did you do, human? Nothing yet, Wu Jin replied calmly. That was just a small demonstration. My friend Ji-won wanted to test something. All? Eyes turned to young Ji-won. She was a small woman with short black hair and thick glasses. She looked like an engineer, which is exactly what her identification paper said. She waved cheerfully at the alien delegates. Sorry about that, she called out. I needed to see how fast your backup systems work. Pretty fast, but not fast enough. Stonesinger, Fourth's massive form shifted uneasily. Rocks ground against rocks as he moved. Explain yourself, small one. Oh, it's simple, G1 said. She stood up and stretched like she had been sitting too long. Your station has very good security. Multiple backup systems, isolated networks, quantum encryption, very impressive. She paused and grinned. But you made one tiny mistake. You let humans visit for the past year. Cultural exchanges, goodwill missions, technical cooperation. We've been studying your systems the whole time. The tentacled alien made a sound like steam escaping from a pipe. Several smaller creatures began chattering in their own languages. The universal translators filled the air with worried voices. Seth Una's liquid form rippled with nervous energy. You could not have learned our technology so quickly. We have had centuries to perfect it. You're right, Sujin said. She closed her tablet and stood up next to Woo-jin. We couldn't learn to build your technology, but we learned something much more useful. And what is that? Threxka demanded. How to break it, Sujin replied sweetly. The normal lights suddenly returned. The red emergency glow faded away. But something was different now. The floating security. Drones had changed positions. Instead of watching the humans, they were now pointed at all the alien delegates. What is the meaning of this? Roared Stonesinger Vorth. The AI's hologram flickered. When it spoke, its voice was confused. I am experiencing some difficulty with my security protocols. Please remain calm while I investigate. Wu Jin sat back down and folded his hands on the table. I think this would be a good time to discuss the real purpose of this meeting. The purpose is clear, Threxka said. But he sounded less certain now. We are here to decide humanity's future. No, Wu Jin said quietly. You are here to deliver an ultimatum. Stay in our solar system, or die. This was never meant to be a negotiation. The room fell silent. Several aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. How could you know that? Asked one of the smaller creatures. Because we've been watching you, Park Jin-ho said. He spoke for the first time since entering the room. His voice was calm and professional. Every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, every friendly conversation. We recorded everything. Jin-ho stood up and walked to the center of the room. He moved like a soldier, which was not unusual since his papers identified him as security chief for the human delegation. What was unusual was how the alien delegates seemed to shrink back as he approached. Humans have a saying, Jin-ho continued. Know your enemy. We have spent 5 years learning everything about your species, your strengths, your weaknesses, your technologies, your fears. Impossible, hissed the furry creature. Our mental shields prevent such observation. Sujin laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Mental shields work against psychic observation. They don't work against old-fashioned spying. Hidden cameras, listening devices, social engineering. Very primitive methods that none of you thought to look for. Sith Una's form suddenly lashed out toward Sujin. A tendril of liquid crystal shot across the space between them, aimed at the human woman's head. It was a psychic attack that could destroy a mind in seconds. The tendril stopped 3 inches from Sujin's face. It hung in the air, frozen and unable to move forward. That's not going to work, Wu Jin said conversationally. Human minds are different from what you're used to. Sith Una pulled her attack back and stared at the humans in shock. Your mental defenses are impossible. No natural species could evolve such resistance. You're right, Wu Jin agreed. No natural species could. But humans didn't evolve in a nice, safe environment like most of you did. He stood up again and walked closer to the alien tables. None of them moved to stop him. Earth is what galactic scientists call a death world, he explained. High gravity, violent weather, dangerous animals, frequent natural disasters. Most species develop intelligence to avoid conflict. Humans developed intelligence to win conflicts. So, Threxka demanded, but his crystal body had dimmed noticeably. So our brains work differently, Wu Jin said. We don't just think about problems. We think about solutions. We don't just adapt to challenges. We overcome them. And we don't just survive threats. He smiled again. This time, every alien in the room felt a chill. We eliminate them. The AI's voice suddenly changed. Instead of the multi-species blend it had been using, it now spoke in perfect human English with a slight Korean accent. Station security is now under human control, it announced. All external communications have been blocked. Emergency lockdown protocols are in effect. No one may leave this room without human authorization. Chaos erupted. Aliens shouted in a dozen different languages. Some tried to activate personal communicators. Others attempted to use their natural abilities to escape or attack. Nothing worked. The Vaxari warriors discovered that their incredible strength meant nothing when gravity fields could be manipulated. Jiwan had taken control of the station's artificial gravity system. She could make them weightless or crush them with increased gravity at will. The Melodians found their psychic abilities useless against human minds that had been trained to resist mental intrusion. Worse, when they tried to probe Wu Jin's thoughts, they encountered something that made them recoil in terror. The Korath, despite their massive size and rock-hard bodies, could not break through walls when those walls could electrify themselves or flood sections with toxic gases. All their advanced technology had been turned against them. Please sit down, Wu Jin said politely. We have much to discuss. One by one, the alien delegates returned to their seats. They had no choice. Now then, Wu Jin continued, straightening his tie again. Let's talk about the real future of human-alien relations. The most powerful species in the galaxy were now prisoners of the weakest humans in the room, and they were beginning to understand why humans were the most feared. Kim Wu Jin walked through the massive doors of the Grand Assembly Hall. His black shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. The room was huge, bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it. Strange lights floated in the air, giving everything a blue glow. He looked small in his simple black suit. Next to him, Li Sujin carried a briefcase and tablet. She wore a dark blue dress that looked plain compared to what they saw around them. Behind them, Park Jin-ho and Yang Ji-won followed quietly. They all looked like normal people you might see in any office on Earth. But this was not Earth. This was Nexus Prime, a space station bigger than most cities. Today, 12 different alien species would meet here. They called it the Galactic Council. The purpose was simple: decide what to do about humans. Wu Jin stopped walking and looked around the room. What he saw would have scared most people. Giant creatures sat at curved tables that formed a circle. Each table was made for a different type of alien body. At the first table sat the Vaxari. They looked like giant insects made of crystal. Their leader, Threxka, was 8 feet tall. His body caught the light and threw rainbow colors across the walls. When he moved, his crystal skin made clicking sounds. His forearms ended in sharp claws that could cut through steel. The Melodians sat at the next table. They had no real shape, just bodies made of clear, moving liquid. Sith Una, their speaker, changed form every few seconds. Sometimes she looked almost human, sometimes like flowing water. Her people could read minds and control thoughts. Most species feared them more than any army. The Korath took up the biggest table. They were living rocks, each one the size of a small building. Stone Singer Vorth was their oldest member. He had been alive for over 1,000 years. His body was made of black stone with veins of silver metal. When he spoke, his voice sounded like mountains breaking apart. There were 9 other species in the room. Each one was bigger, stronger, or more advanced than humans. Some had technology that could destroy planets. Others had powers that seemed like magic, All of them had been part of galactic civilization for hundreds or thousands of years. Humans had only met aliens 5 years ago. Wu Jin found the human table. It was the smallest one in the room, made for creatures their size. He sat down and put his hands on the smooth surface. Su Jin sat next to him and opened her tablet. Jin-Ho and Ji-Won took seats behind them. "Look at them!" Threxka's voice filled the room. His translator made his clicks and buzzes sound like human words. The humans send children to speak for their species. Some of the aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. A creature, with tentacles instead of arms, waved them in what seemed like agreement. Another alien, covered in thick fur and sharp teeth, showed what were clearly fangs. Wu Jin did not react. He had expected this. Humans were small compared to most galactic species. They had no natural weapons like claws or poison. They could not read minds or control gravity. Their technology was thousands of years behind most of the others. Su Jin leaned close to him. "The Vaksari blocked the main exit," she whispered. "The Melodians have their psychic fields active. Something feels wrong." Wu Jin nodded but kept his face calm. He had noticed the same things. The seating arrangement was not random. The aliens had positioned themselves to control every way out of the room. Security drones floated near the ceiling, but they all seemed to be controlled by non-human systems. "Welcome," said a voice from the center of the room. A hologram appeared, showing the station's AI. It looked like a mix of all the species present, constantly shifting between different forms. "Today we gather to discuss the human question." The human question. Wu Jin almost smiled. That was what they called it when they talked about his species. As if humans were a problem that needed solving. "Humans," the AI continued, "have been part of our galaxy for only 5 years. In that time, they have shown remarkable expansion and adaptation. Today we will decide their future role in galactic civilization." Threxka stood up. His crystal body reflected the lights like a disco ball. "There is no question," he said. His voice was loud and sharp. "Humans are a threat. They spread too fast. They adapt too quickly. They ask too many questions and respect too little." Murmurs of agreement came from around the room. The tentacled alien waved its arms again. The furry creature showed more teeth. "In 5 years," Threxka continued, "they have gone from 1 world to 12 colonies. They study our technology and improve it. They learn our languages and create new ones. They are like a virus spreading and changing everything they touch." Su Jin's hand moved slightly on her tablet. To anyone watching, it looked like she was taking notes. But Wu Jin knew she was really sending a coded message. The signal would not leave the room. The aliens had blocked all communications. But it would reach the other humans present. "What do you propose?" asked Stonesinger Vorth. His voice was so deep it made the floor vibrate. "Containment," Threxka said simply. "Humans stay in their solar system. No more expansion, no more colonies. They can exist, but they will not spread." More agreement from around the room. Wu Jin counted the voices. All 12 species seemed to support this idea. Humans would be prisoners in their own solar system forever. And if they refuse? This came from Scythe Una. Her liquid form had taken on a threatening shape, all sharp edges and flowing spikes. "Then we remove the threat," Threxka replied. "One burned world is better than a galaxy infected with their chaos." The room fell silent. Even the floating lights seemed to dim. They were talking about destroying Earth and every human alive. Wu Jin stood up slowly. Every alien eye in the room focused on him. He was still the smallest creature there, but something about the way he moved made them pay attention. "May I speak?" he asked politely. "The human may make its final statement." The AI announced. Wu Jin straightened his tie and looked around the room. His eyes met each alien gaze without fear. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear. "I thank the Council for this opportunity," he said. "Humans are indeed young in galactic terms. We have much to learn from species with longer histories and greater achievements." Some aliens relaxed slightly. This sounded like surrender. "However," Wu Jin continued, I think there may be some misunderstandings about my species. We came here hoping to clear those up." He paused and smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "You see, humans do have one special ability. We learn very quickly. And in the past 5 years we have learned quite a lot about all of you." The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Sujin checked her tablet one more time. Jin-Ho adjusted his position slightly. Ji-Won hummed a soft tune under her breath. Woo-Jin was still smiling when the lights went out.